Everyone, it's BlackHighPriestess. Happy Sunday. Um, I figured I'd go live at Sunday. Like I said, I'm trying to do this once a week again. So I want to thank everyone who's been here with me over the years, who supported my brand, my products, my services, and my music, my modeling, my events, and just also supported my mission to essentially elevate Black women and reveal some mysteries of sacred femininity. So thank you all. Let me know if you guys like the bonnet. I feel like it has kind of like an artsy kind of look because like my hair is obviously done, but I think it's like a cute way of covering my head. I like it. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you guys think. Alrighty. Um So I'm not gonna stay too long, which means I'll probably be on for like 2 hours. But um, so if you're watching, go ahead and ask any questions that you do have. I'm always answering questions when I'm live. But I just wanted to know if you guys have really been feeling the Oya energy. Um, no matter where you are in the world, have you been experiencing the thunderstorms, the lightning, the rainfall, the patches of rain, that patchiness of the rain where it being a thunderstorm, but maybe some areas getting the rain, other areas just staying kind of dry or just getting humidity. That patchiness of the rain, that's also symbolic of Oya using the tempest, the tornado essentially, to take resources from one area, to gather resources from area and transport them through the tornado, through the kind of violent centrifugal force, um, and that circular motion, which is sacred, dealing with kind of the infinity symbol, um, and transporting those resources um, to another area. And sometimes it could be taking away garbage and junk and things that are no longer of use, things that are dead, because Oya ushers things from living, from the realm of the living to the realm of the dead. She is a usher, a transporter, um, from the physical realm to the spirit realm. And so sometimes when a resource is dead, and is no longer serving its purpose, she can transport it in terms of it being trash or things that are holding death or negative energy, essentially, to its graveyard or to another area. This also deals with her bringing a bad omen, bringing essentially bringing punishment. This could also mean her taking a curse from one area and bringing it to as a punishment to another area. So I wanted to know if you guys have been feeling Oya in the last month during this lunar phase, which I kind of recently found out that it is an eclipse. And I was kind of wondering why there was I don't want to say an intensity, but definitely a cleansing and letting go, um, a releasing energy in the air. Why there was such a release, energy of, and a spirit of release. And so I wanted to know if you guys were feeling that. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that, um, as we're coming out of that phase and just the little things that I experienced that I feel like I want to share with you all. First, um, one of the first things I want to share is in my last upload, a sister was asking um she asked the question about how do you know if you're dating a warlock, or if you essentially, how do you know if you were dating a warlock or are dating a warlock. And I wanted to just quickly continue and say another part that came to me that I should have mentioned. One sure way to know, and if you are dealing with someone who is a warlock, or a man who has the ability um to be an energy vampire, a man who has the gift or the ability of vampirism. Energy vampirism. Incubus deals with sexual vampirism. There's a lot of other ways. um but one sure way to know, if he has the letter V in any of his names, nicknames, um birthrights, names, or titles. If any of his names or titles contains the letter V, all right, the letter V. Um, a detail of that would be the letter W, which in the Germanic tongue, um, V and W in English can be, W is two V's. It's double V. Um, and so I'm in terms of pronunciation, you would be pronouncing V for, I'm thinking, like warlock, witch. Um, I typically, when I am writing or typing the word witch, I will use two V's instead of the English W, even though my keyboard is in English format, because that's very important when you're differentiating where your witchcraft is generating from. And in the Germanic sense, dealing with what a witch was, in Germany and France and Europe, or what a witch was in Africa or Native America, or the ancient British Isles. What that term means, what it connotes, what a witch was, in the Bible, and how that's described. It's important to kind of note that. So when I'm talking about spelling and etymology, it does get historical, and it's very important. So if you're dealing with a Germanic based language also, and you're unsure, the letter W could be a more mild signifier that this man has the bloodline trait or the gift of vampirism. Um, so again, if he has a V in any of his names or titles, um, or even a W, which would be a double V, which would, which would be another way to determine. So having said that, moving on to the Oya Oracle. And I think that's important. And I think that a lot of my Black Rose Exorcism soap is kind of my staple product. And the service of Oracle consultation, it does come along with my products and services. A lot of my spirit beads and my lekis, these are initiation um pieces of jewelry. These are initiation beads that I have in my shop. And those, though they can be used for fashion, but those are definitely, they hold the spirit of those various aspects of essentially Erzuli or La Seren, the characteristics, the Loa. which I've talked about for years, the difference between the Orisha and the Loa. But the spirit beads, they hold the characteristics of the Loa that I have been initiated into and want to share with, you know, others, who are, of the craft, essentially, and maybe even initiated as well. So those are, that's that. But my Black Rose Exorcism soap, it is really the foundation of the spiritual warfare aspect of my brand, and um exorcism and getting rid of unclean spirits and just kind of getting rid of forms of spirituality or paranormal activity that is not serving you and getting you closer to God or Christ, um but getting you closer to who you are and how you should live and how you should take responsibility for your gifts. And that's kind of where my guidance comes in spiritually. So, with Oya, with a lot of the storms and everything that I think we've been experiencing, and like I said, I want to know worldwide, if you're, even if you're not just in America, in a place where the season is summer, and it's with this eclipse, I just kind of feel like this summer, it's almost as if this whole summer was kind of eclipsed. I would say, especially this last month, especially the last 5 or 6 weeks of it. The time where summer should have been at the height of the summer, we've been experiencing nothing but storms and rainfall. And this has been going on for a while, but I think in particular, I think Oya is very prominent this year. I've seen other um, spiritual women leaders discussing the Oya energy this year. Um, so I want to just kind of remind people to continue to, throughout this year, continue to cleanse your space, whether it's your home, your room, your car, um, whatever space that you are in the most, that you would say you live in. It could be even an office space, because some people work more than they're at home, you have jobs where, you may be staying in a hotel, but you're always in your place of work. Whatever space you're in the most, that you are also feel the most comfortable and connected to, that you feel is your home, that is the place you would go to your comfort, whatever place that is for you. um Cleanse, make sure that everything in your room, in your space, in your car, is a representation of who you are. Make sure that you are getting rid of things that other people have imposed on you, getting rid of items that have no emotional or physical value to you, meaning items that you genuinely don't use and don't need, even in an emergency situation, items that you no longer use because they don't work anymore, they don't work as well, or you just don't need them at this time in your life. Um, and items that you have that don't hold emotional value to you. Sometimes you can be holding someone else's emotions and someone else's items, and someone else's baggage. And if that item is not really a form of nostalgia, like a childhood picture of you that reminds you of who you are, if it's something that is just meant to remind you of someone else that is not serving a purpose in your life right now, let it go. Um, One of the reasons I really got away from the tarot cards is because understanding what the Bible says about fortune telling and understanding destiny swapping is such a high activity in the spirit realm, and why my Black Rose Exorcism soap, is it's such a good tool to fight against, really, being spiritual. It's reminding people that's a huge responsibility, and it's not glamorous. Some of us make it look glamorous, but most of it is just fighting demons. Most of it is fighting demons, and it is exhausting. Most of it is protecting yourself. It's not. it's not what it seems like when you have people who are not really using spiritual warfare, but who pride themselves on being healers. Um, which so much ego comes with being a healer. Um, Fighting demons in the spirit realm, that's what spirituality is. um not summoning them, not being so egocentric that you think that they work for you. um and all this other, a lot of it gets so into the ego, but a lot of it is just really protecting yourself from all the things that want to keep you from um your highest potential in physical form. And the thing about it is, and this is what I want to get into with the dating aspect, is God does not care in a lot of times. And this is what pastors and priests and a lot of people are not preaching this part of God, because there's a lot of false prophets right now. And I kind of wanted to do another upload with this, but false prophets are not preaching the gospel, but they're also not preaching Christ, and they're not preaching what the Bible actually says and teaches. And one of the main false prophet gospels is prosperity preaching. Um, Another false gospel that false prophets teach um, is teaching that justice is going to happen for you in your lifetime, and your enemies are going to suffer. um there's other things, but under prosperity, under the false teaching of prosperity gospel, which is, oh, pray to God and be good and you're going to get blessings, all that, that's not what the Bible says. In fact, the Bible speaks very negatively about rich people. So it is a false gospel, and false prophets always teach about prosperity when that's not what the Bible says. It says it would be it will be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it will be for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. That's what the Bible says. So when someone is teaching prosperity to you, and that you're going to be blessed and you're going to this and you're going to get that and everything, that's not true. Another thing that the Bible says and teaches is that Job, the richest man who lived until Solomon came, what he suffered, God allowed Satan to attack him and take everything away. So prosperity gospels are false prophecy, and it is a demon possessed tongue that teaches people, Christians, especially the black ones, who love to hear that, God is good and you're going to get the, and God does not care. You've accepted Christ or you didn't. Nothing in between. You've accepted Christ and you're staying out of hell because of it. Nothing in that includes you're going to get a husband, you're going to get $1 million, God promised you a happy home and this, that. There's nothing in the Bible that says that. And I especially with black women, I've been warning you for years. God hates us. And we will be the last thing he will give us is a husband. Darker you are, worse you will get treated. And this is why when you look at Africans and African women in Africa, where they're in their tribes, they're getting these enormous bride prices. I'm not here for that either. I'm here for women who are uncovered, and women who have the gift of witchcraft, to where you're not being blessed with anything other than these gifts that you have, where you're not going to be getting no husband in this, because you already have authority over the man. And why it is so prominent for a witch to end up single, for an empowered woman to end up single on a planet where you are already superior and have authority over the human man. in your spirit form, and why it is important to date to be evenly yoked, which is dealing with a warlock as a blood-born witch. Um, but a lot of these prosperity gospels are not teaching what the Bible says. And when it comes to being single and when it comes to dating, I want to kind of talk about my last um, singles event. And I was a contestant um, for the most Chicago's most eligible bachelorettes, and so I was a contestant this year. I think I'm going to actually petition you guys to vote for me. I think I'm actually going to try and win, but I made it to the finals without even trying, essentially. And it's the most eligible. It's a brand and a company that I do want to remain close with because I like what they're doing in terms of using dating and using being single as a way to highlight and empower women. And there's bachelors too. And I think it's more about empowering people who are awesome and essentially are struggling to find love and have not found love because we are brilliant people, and highlighting that, and less about like hooking people up, more so than highlighting and showing the world um how many single people have a lot to offer, and what being single can do for you, and how much it does give you space to shine brighter, and how you can make the most of it, and feel empowered in the world where everyone is validated by someone saying, yes, I'll marry you. Yes, I'll have sex with you. Yes, I'll have a baby with you. How standing on your own, how empowering it is as a woman. And I like their mission with that. And so I do want to just continue to kind of promote, um, you know, the company. But I wanted to talk about the singles event and what the experience was, and just kind of again back to just like I said, God doesn't care. Um and so when it comes to like letting go of things, protecting yourself using spiritual warfare, um the more you have, essentially, and the more valuable you can be to helping save souls and get people to Christ, or the more you reach your highest potential, which is taking responsibility for your gifts that you do have, the more God allows Satan to attack you. And essentially, you just end up having to use the tools or the ancestors that you were given to constantly fight off Satan's attacks, and it's never ending. And that's why spirituality can be exhausting, and that's why I think I've, in a way, just kind of taken a break and kind of almost kind of retired from some things to live the rest of my life the way I want to, which is enjoying being Black High Priestess, but also just also accepting what my life is now, and knowing that I want to make the most of it. And I, you know, I do want a partner. Um, but for me, it's like I've gotten to a point where I'm enjoying being single. I'm enjoying like entering, I don't want to say entering my prime, because I feel like I'm still kind of growing up. Um, but I'm enjoying my life. And when you get to that point, I think that's the best time to actually start dating and start thinking about letting someone else into a life that you are happy with on your own, or just with what it is. And it's really no shade to people who have found a partner and are enjoying their life. Um, but at this stage in my life and in my brand, I'm not called like these women in Africa who get these enormous bride prices and men are throwing money at them just to marry them. That's not what my brand is for. My brand is for women who are uncovered, who had to end up in the Bible days. If you were uncovered, if you didn't have a family, a man, a brother covering you, or a husband, you were a prostitute. And that's what my brand is for. My brand is for women who have had to use their sacred sexuality to get by because no man has covered them. And my brand is for women who are empowered in their sexuality because they have no man to answer to. And because the Bible talks about this and talks about that, but there's no there's ask your pastors to state one scripture in the Bible where God promises you a husband. Name one scripture in the Bible where God promised any of the women a husband, or promised any of the women anything that they prayed for, and then didn't take it away from them the moment they got it after they were menopausal. So if you really read the Bible, there's there's no promise that a woman is going to be covered by any man. And my brand is for women who understand sacred femininity because they've actually had to embody it and embrace it because someone didn't always own their femininity. They didn't go from being someone's daughter and someone's sister to someone's wife and someone's mother. You are different. You're unloved. You're unchosen. You're left naked, alone, ostracized from society because of your gifts, which can sometimes look like beauty, sometimes look like a supernatural power, sometimes just you look different than other people. Most of the time, it's you are just smarter than everyone else. You're able to see things and you think differently, and you're weird because of it. A lot of times it may look like you embracing your own style and not going along with what everyone looks like, particularly the woman. And now you're the weird girl, maybe sometimes the tomboy, but now you're just this weird person because you owned your own style because you were owning your own gift at a very young age. That's who I'm here for. And I am here to elevate the Black woman, but those women in Africa who got men throwing money at them because their bride price is so enormous, and they come from a culture where they go from being someone's daughter and sister to someone's wife, and they never have to experience not being protected or provided for by a man and being left for dead and raped like the women in the book of Judges. That's who I'm here for. Women who have to call on Oya for justice because we don't have brothers and fathers or gods protecting us or answering our prayers. That's who I'm here for. I'm not here for privileged women. And I think I have to reiterate that because while my brand is about elevating Black women, I can't do nothing for no women who got all these men throwing money at them as a bride. I can do something for women who have had to get on the stripper pole because you don't have family resources. You don't have friends. You don't have a husband. You are not in a society or a community where there were eligible men for you. And at one time, that was more of an exclusively Black and brown and immigrant family experience. And even immigrant families, a lot of times, they stuck together so much. The women, the men in those cultures were available to them. I'm talking about women who have had to call on their femininity to make it in a world, in a male-dominated world, and who have done it. And as a result, know how to deal with men and how to get men. Because one thing I saw at the singles event, and one of the main things that stood out is when I entered the room, it's like everything began. I only saw two guys there to begin with. They were sitting at a table, and the moment I came in, they invited me over to come talk to them. I had just got there. I wanted to check in with some people. I went to do the tequila tasting because I was like, let me see who's going to buy me a drink before I make my own way to the bar. And so, having said all that, I want to tell you guys how the singles event went. And it was one of my first really, really, really singles events as a single person. And while I was really there to kind of represent most eligible. I This was my first time really going to like a singles event and seeing how it goes. Not meeting someone for a date, that we had a date plan, like going to a singles event and there's this activity, there's that activity. They gave us little cards and everything. And so like I said, first thing I noticed was it was a yet another room where it didn't light up and start moving until I entered. So I was already not exhausted with it. I was just already on I was already energized, and my confidence was already way up. And I want you ladies to make sure that that's when you're going out, when your confidence is up, and when you look your best and you feel your best. Um, so, like I said, when I entered, the only two guys that I saw who were chatting, standing up next to each other, having drinks, because there was a lot of ladies, and I didn't really realize how much the women outnumbered the men until later on when another woman came up and mentioned it to me. I'll get there. Um, so the guys invited me to their table. I went and did the tequila tasting. It was great. I was the only one who did it because I was the only one who was smart enough to notice it was an activity. So then of course other ladies who no men were paying attention to, they came over to the tequila tasting. Um, you know, and I was pretty much done with it, but I am so sick of women treading on me. And I'm so sick of women following my lead. And this is what I want to say. When you have embraced your femininity and when you have embraced um, lesbianism at a young age, empowering other women at a young age, embraced rebellion against a male dominated society at a young age. When you have embraced those qualities in you and embraced who you are as a woman, and have had that witchcraft in you, that spirit of rebellion, which is also called witchcraft. And it's known as witchcraft, but in a religious, very religious sense. And when you have been taught religion at a young age as a woman and chose to rebel against what you were taught about how God felt about you as a woman, not just against rebelling against God, but really rebelling about the margins you were taught to that your femininity keeps you in. When you rebelled against that at a young age, you can end up single because a lot of men are not taught the masculinity needed to be with a woman. They are taught toxic masculinity that can afford them a marginalized woman who is absent of herself and has allowed society to pour her character into her so she could get a man. And when you have lived your life as a woman for you and not for society, and you had to rebel against your religion, your parents, your school system, and sometimes your culture, and sometimes at risk of death for you Middle Eastern women, including some parts of Africa, and um, for you women whose culture, for any woman who comes from a culture where female genital mutilation is the norm, you all are really the ones my brand is about. Because I wrote papers in high school and junior high, and the teachers didn't even want to grade them because the subject was so gruesome. So I was 12 years old writing papers against female genital mutilation. That's why I'm Black High Priestess. And a lot of times a lot of women they have this snobby, empty attitude about them, and they try to size me up, and they have no idea who I am. And they couldn't even fathom because they have degrees and they've never even they wouldn't even know the things that I was studying at such a young age. So I've accomplished so much at such a young age that I have retired. And that's why I thank you guys for staying with me, because I'm focused on myself. But when it comes to this dating event, I get sick of entering the room, lighting it up, making it move, and then all the women following me, my lead. None of the men were talking to any of the women. Like I said, and so I did the tasting. Now women are trying to migrate toward me. So now I go to the table and talk to. Actually, I went around. I saw one lady. It was an Asian lady, and she had on like a nice black print dress, but it had on like these neon. It looked really like under the sea. It had on like these neon. They look kind of like octopus or jellyfish kind of pattern, but it was a really interesting dress. So I complimented her. She was just sitting there. So I sat next to her, complimented her dress, we chit-chatted, whatever. But then I turned to the table next to me where the other guy was, only black guy that was there at that time. So, when I came over, the white guy he was talking to actually made his exit. He left and started walking around, and the white guy was actually classy enough to leave the black guy and walk around because he saw me coming over and he didn't want to cock block. So instead of trying to interfere, this, that, the white guy who he was talking to, because they weren't talking to any of the women there. Soon as I came in, they invited me to talk to them. Why? One, because of how I was dressed. A lot of you women are just not intelligent women, and you don't know how to dress, and you don't live for yourself. And a lot of women who are not witches, you all don't know how to dress to express who you are as a woman. And you all look like you went shopping and bought whatever was there without thinking of, does this match my personality and does this exude the femininity that I'm bringing to the table? Am I showing a man who I am by what I'm wearing? Or am I showing him that I'm a dime a dozen and I'm just going to buy whatever's in the store and hope that it works? Um, so one thing I will say is, me being a model puts you, so having a sense of fashion is how you attract men. A lot of you women don't know how to dress. And there is a post on Instagram that I got all these liberal feminist morons of all races and sexes, but mostly mothers, um attacking me because I disagreed with the post saying, that if the kid has to change their clothes because an adult's coming over, the adult shouldn't be invited to the party or to the house. And I just disagreed. I don't think children should run a household. I don't think that I think children should learn how to dress. I think children should learn you live in a world where an adult will sexually attack you. I think my father raised me. I wasn't believing in Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. And I think that adults need to take responsibility in teaching children, particularly girls, that men get sexually aroused. I think we have to respect a man's sexuality enough to start teaching women what is and is not appropriate. A lot of and because this attitude that it's always a man's fault and that all men are automatically dangerous, so we got to protect. No, teach children the world they live in. So these women don't who weren't told to, don't leave the house in a bonnet, don't leave the house in pajamas. These are the same women that go to the gym wearing panties instead of workout clothes, because they and then have the nerve to get appalled that someone notices because their parents taught them that they can wear whatever they want, and it's an adult's fault if they look at them a certain way, whether it be sexually or just look at them like they wasn't raised right. You No, children should not run a household. An adult should. And because these parents are not raising their children or not raising their daughters, you women, you grow up and you have no femininity. You cannot attract men. And it starts with the fact that y'all don't know how to dress. Y'all don't know how to dress. And when you wear a dress, a lot of times you all don't know how to act in a dress. And what I noticed is, not only when I went in, not only were the men only talking to each other, the men were the only ones really standing up, save maybe a few women at the bar. The only women standing up really were the ones who greeted me, who, you know, they were the ones who had sexy black on, or a red dress on. None of the other women had anything, a sexy black dress or a a bright red dress. All the women had these colors that you're going to a singles event and you didn't bother to dress sexy. And you women don't have the wherewithal to say, I'm going to a singles event. Let me demonstrate that I'm single and I'm ready to mingle by, at the very least, wearing red or some shade of it, pink. But you women are so dumb, and you go to these events with your lack of femininity and your lack of character. And the first thing it shows in how you're dressed. The second thing it shows is the fact that, why are you wearing heels and then sitting down? If you can't walk in heels, first of all, why can't you walk in heels? Because none of you all bothered to be a model at any point in your life. And a lot of you women, your parents didn't hold you to the standard of being a model. Your parents didn't care how you made them look in public. So you guys go to singles events wearing other something other than red, or something other than something that makes you look naked. I had on a leopard print. And the leopard print, it looks similar to my skin color. And so does my hair at this point. So I went out in an exotic looking thing that enhanced my exoticness. I was the only black woman there at that time. You know what I'm saying? And so I went with something that gave, when a man looked at me, he's getting an image of me being naked in the jungle as a wild cat. I wore something that was meant to show men, hey, I'm single, I'm ready to mingle. And I know my role is to attract and arouse you. None of the other women had on anything that made the man even want to look at them. The men, no, the men, none of the men were talking to the women, and all the women were sitting down instead of standing up so a man could see what you look like. Why do you women sit down? Because your body is trash. You're hiding the lack of figure that you have to offer a man for him to even want to think about buying you a drink. You're hiding the fact that you don't work out. That's why you're sitting down, and you're also hiding the fact that you don't have any grace. You don't have the grace um to move your body in a way that arouses a man. You can't walk in heels. That's why you all were sitting down waiting for a man to talk to you. And the men were standing up, but the women were not moving around, walking around, modeling for the men, walking past them, doing anything that showed that you women have a grasp on your sexuality. You were waiting for the men to do all the work, and y'all, none of the men were even looking at y'all. They were having bro time until I walked in the room. Then they invited me to come talk to them. So anyway, now I'm talking to the black guy. We're hitting it off. We have these little cards. So, you know, I bring up the cards that they gave us, which are icebreaker cards, by the way, which I saw nobody using. All the women were sitting down talking to each other, or sitting down waiting for some man to come up to them. So now that the men are moving around because I entered the room, and one guy wants to talk to me and the other guy is polite and respectful and gentle and a good guy enough to give space. Now the other one guy is walking around. I'm talking to the black guy. He's a banker. We hit it off. I make a joke and he was like, "Oh, you seem really bubbly." Perfect, perfect, perfect word to describe me. Especially if anyone hangs out with me, which no one wants to, because no one wants to hang out with a bubbly girl who looks like a Barbie doll, sounds like a Barbie doll, talks like a Barbie doll, is shaped like a Barbie doll, thinks like a Barbie doll, but it is a high priestess. No one wants to hang out with a person like that unless they are a rich man who has nothing to lose and doesn't need anything in life. No one wants to be around me. You know, they want me to be around them to make them look good, but they don't want to get to know me because I'm a black Barbie doll, and that's incredibly intimidating for a lot of women, and for most men. So he describes me as bubbly. I'm like, wow, this guy's pretty good. He's great. So I make a joke that if it were Halloween, me and him can go as I could go as Jada Pinkett from Set It Off, and then he can be the banker that that one guy. Well, I forgot the actor's name. He could be the tall, dark, and handsome banker that she slept with. Um, so now he really likes me, of course. And this is the other thing: you women aren't funny, and so when you talk to a man, you already don't look like nothing that he cares at. He would rather look at paint dry and be more interesting because you all look like each other, and you look like you put no real effort. You look like you let a commercial tell you how to act and how to look and how to dress. You don't look authentic. And then and the guy talks to you, and you're not interesting. So he doesn't feel like being interesting because he's not interested. Um, so now he's interested, but he's also a little kind of, so now we're like doing the card game and answering the card questions, and I'm psychic. So I'm spot on, but he's pretty good too. We're reading each other pretty well, but I could tell that he's getting freaked out too. I could tell that he's used to meeting women who I could tell he's one of these guys where he's never met a woman with person. He's never been genuinely attracted to a woman, and he didn't know how to handle it. He was used to manipulating women, with being black, um, presenting himself as someone who is rich, not wealthy, but presenting himself as someone who is very well off, financially stable. And I could tell that he was a little nervous because he actually liked me and he did not know how to act. I know that because I came and I had no drink in my hand, and instead of the first thing is him offering to get me a drink to make sure that I'm comfortable and taken care of, he's sitting there trying to have a conversation with me after I told him that I'm parched and I need to go get a drink. So I knew he was trash when he didn't just offer me a drink. And then so now I'm making the way to the bar so I can get a drink and meet someone else. I knew he was trash then, but essentially, when it comes to ladies with dating, and Oya wants to just kind of share some of these things. Ladies, um, if you have a personality, you need to show it when you're dating. You need to start speaking what's on your mind. I'm bubbly, I make jokes, I think in terms of film and stuff, but I express myself. And ladies, a lot of you all are you don't know how to act. You have no actress in you, you have no stripper in you, you have no slut in you, you don't even have some mean. You have no character. You're genuinely not bringing anything to the table. And a man who and a lot of you ladies, like, um when you're not used to impressing a man and taking and him being taken aback and him being shocked at a skill or a talent you have. um so ladies, stop pulling your punches. If you're at a singles event, show your character. And also, on the other hand of that, ladies, when you do that and when you get the confidence to know that you have character, you will get the confidence to walk away when a guy doesn't. So if a guy, I ladies, never go off of anything that a man says when it comes to dating. Never go off of what he says. Only go off of what he does. If he doesn't buy you a drink within the first 120 seconds of you speaking to him, which is 2 minutes, if he has not offered to buy you a drink or has not gotten you a drink without you having to tell him, this is when you go to a singles event. Because I'm going to tell you something about these singles events. They are money grabs. They are money grabs for these bars that are not getting business, and they are hosting singles events to get people to the bar, expecting that the men are going to buy women drinks to impress them. So one thing about the singles events, they are entirely meant to get bar sales. So when you go, a lot of times it doesn't matter if the ticket was $50, $100, $35. A lot of times it's not open bar if it's a singles event because it is a money grab for the bar. So, ladies, the whole idea of these singles events, I don't care what else they got going on. The whole idea of these singles events is to get women there and get men there to buy these women drinks. Because I don't care what icebreaker, I don't care if they got a magician, a musician, a nail technician. I don't give a damn what activity they got there for you to do. Card games, tastings, I don't give a damn. The whole point in a singles event is to get a man to buy you a drink. The bars know that. You should too. So I'm not, ladies, what I'm telling you is when you go to a singles event, I don't care if you spent $100 on the ticket, be prepared to buy your own drink, especially if you are not coming on your A game, with knowing that and with the confidence to know that you're gonna that somebody's gonna buy you a drink. But what I'm saying is be prepared to buy your own drink because these men are trash. And I'm saying what I noticed about the women, what I noticed about the men, but mind you, now I've left this guy because I need a drink and it hasn't happened, so I'm going to the bar now to get a drink. Next thing that happens is the bartenders are swamped. One bartender's kind of yelling at the other one because she's being too slow. At first, she seemed like she was rude, but because I'm industry, I knew she wasn't being rude to me when she finished one order, walked away, started washing dishes. I knew she wasn't being rude or racist or, being a mean girl to the good-looking women. I knew she was in the weeds. So I didn't make a fuss about it. I simply just waited because I as an industry person, I knew what was happening. So another thing I want you ladies who are not industry and who've never actually who you guys, your personality sucks because you never had to serve somebody else in your life, ladies. Y'all, you ladies whose personality sucks because you've never had to serve someone else in your life, and your paycheck has never had to come from someone else having gratuitous feelings towards you because you were good at your job. Those of you who've never had to be in that life experience of being of service to someone else and hoping that they tip you, I urge you to give the staff grace. Not only um not only are men watching, um other people are watching and other women are watching. And what happened with me at the bar is when she was taking long, it gave an opportunity for another woman who was looking good, had a pretty blue on, looking sexy. She came up to me and started talking to me because we were, she had just got there. She wanted a drink too. And while I was patiently waiting, no, I was standing at the bar patient, not having an attitude, looking alone, looking patient, looking graceful. And because of that graceful poise I had, instead of having a flustered, frustrated attitude because I wasn't getting immediate service, I left an opportunity for people to see me looking graceful, looking poised, looking good, and for people to say, let me come talk to her and break the ice with her because she looks more friendly than the bar. So now I have the other sexiest woman there, the other most confident woman there came and talked to me and talking about how the no one bought her drink, how the men, and so I'm like, so now I'm having a good time because I'm talking to another woman who's on my level, and that never happens to me. I go into a room and I'm the life of the room. All the men are drawn to me. All the women are following my lead because that's where all the men are now, buzzing around me. I get sick of that shit. I want a partner, not just a life partner, a romantic partner. I want partners in crime. I want women who are models, who are skinny, who are from the suburbs and talk like white girls or are white girls. I don't care. I want women like me who played sports growing up, who had a good education and who have class, who have personality, like free women, cool women. I get sick of women coming trying to tread on me and learn this from me and hoping I'm nice to them. So to make the she came up to me and was immediately like, because she came up to me like she knew I was the most interesting person in the room too. And I liked her. And then me and her went over to the other side because I told her about the tequila tasting tucked in the back. And then me and her went over there and we were at a table. And now I got my leopard print on and she's got this pretty blue dress that is really becoming for her. And she was an Aquarius. So you can imagine she's got this water bear energy, and she's tall and sexy and all, and so now the two sexy girls are getting to know each other and we're having a great time, and now everyone's looking at us. And me and her were hitting it off really, really, really well. Next thing I know, this guy comes out of nowhere and plops his card right in front of my face. And so it took me aback because I'm literally, me and her like talking like two fucking valley girls from California. We are hitting it off. And then next thing I know, this boom, like this guy comes, puts his card right in front of my face. So, and then we were both taken aback. So I kind of said, hey, give me a second. I was kind of easing, but then she just went over to the tequila tasting and she didn't have an attitude about it. She immediately recognized, oh, this is a dating event. So she made her exit, and me and him hit it off. And his card was like, what, tell me something you want me to say something that you want me to know. What's one thing that you would want me to know about myself? So the first thing I really noticed about him was he had on this hat, and it kind of looked like one of the rooster hats, but like later on I realized it said Boricua on it. But I basically told him, I was like, the fact that you wore that hat to this dating event says a lot about you. Because it did. He was the one, again, he was, it was not a lot of men there. And again, I still didn't notice it at this time. I didn't notice until he actually went to get me a drink, and another lady came up as I'm like gobbling down all the hors d'oeuvres. Another lady came up and she was like, "Oh, do you mind if I share the table with you?" And she wanted to get some of the snacks, that some of the past apps and everything too. And then the first thing she said, she was like, "There's a lot of women here." And then I looked around and I was like, you're right. I was like, I really didn't notice that until you just said it. Why didn't I notice? Because all the men I were talking to me. I talked to all the men there, so I didn't notice that the women outnumbered the men. Because when I first went to the bar, before old girl came up to me and I was waiting, some other dude from like Florida or whatever, he was a douche. Some bald dude from Florida came up and was talking to me, and he already had a drink in his hand. I didn't. And he was this and that, and I was like, do you want to buy me a drink? Like, I'm here trying to get a drink. And I don't know, he didn't say no. He was just like, oh, I don't know about that yet, or something like that. So I continued to try to purchase a drink. These dudes were trash. These men were trash. And I was done talking to him because I didn't really like his vibe. I think but again, I'm there 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and all the men have actively came up to speak to me. So I had no way of noticing that the women outnumbered the men, because everywhere I looked there was a man talking to me. Um, so what I'm trying to say is, like, ladies, be prepared to buy your own drink, because these men are trash. They drinking themselves, and they don't want to buy you a drink. So you gotta understand, a lot of these men are undercover gay, and a lot of these men are divorced because their wife divorced them because she found out they were gay, and she got sick of him being gay, and that's how they act, homosexual over here. And he was drinking a mojito. So a lot of these men is just homosexuals trying to find the next lavender marriage so they could stay in the closet. Um, but anyway, this guy plops the card in front of me while I'm hitting it off with old girl. So and then, and he was like, "Oh, are you liking this event? This, and that." I was like, "Well, I was like, I was making friends until you came by." But he was cool. We were talking. He was kind of joking. He kind of, he made some joke, this, and that. Um, he was not a little much, but I will say that he wasn't dressed casually. Um, but when with the way he had the hat on, it gave it a casual look, but it also gave it like kind of like he worked in a auto shop kind of vibe. Even though he had on like a black shirt and he had pants, he didn't look casual. His hat just kind of said that, he's not that he's not here to impress anyone. Um, for me, it just he felt like the realest guy there. He felt like the only man there who worked with his hands for a living. The other guys that were there, they were dressed um either business casual or they were dressed up, like a suit and tie, to their but they had character. One guy was dressed really, a bit flamboyant, and but he was something to look at. You saw him, he was there, he was wearing none of the women's outfits grabbed anyone's attention except for mine. um the men, when he had that hat on, the Boricua hat, I was like, I see why. And he had that crudeness, like me and oh girl, me and the Aquarius lady, like we were talking and we were observing, like we saw, like one guy walked in, like this guy walked in, he I don't want to say he looked like a Greek god, but he had the very Greek Roman look to him. He was handsome. He was tall, he was built. I wasn't fond of what he was wearing. It didn't look good on him, but he was a handsome guy, and it was almost like all the women heads turned because there wasn't really a lot of guys there. And the guys there were not they were not handsome men. He came in looking like a handsome, good-looking model, a masculine model, not a feminine man model. And oh girl noticed immediate. I noticed too. But I'm there was a black guy did walk in too, taller than him. A tall, dark, and handsome black guy, again, wasn't dressed in a way that made me feel like he wasn't a homosexual, wasn't fond of what he was wearing, but he was tall, dark, and handsome black guy. He walked in too. But I really, again, I wasn't necessarily impressed with me. I wasn't moved to the guys. I was just like, oh, what, the guys are there, but it's just like immediately all the women's heads kind of turned. Um, but with the guy that was talking to me, with the Puerto Rican guy who was talking to me, um, he was dressed in a way that symbolized he works with his hands, symbolized he know how to change a car tire. None of the other men were dressed in a way that made me feel they had real masculinity. And again, this is the other thing I observed. Um, After he talked to me, the girl I was talking to, she went on her own. She was doing the tasting. I think she ended up talking to some guy too, because she was the only other chick there who looked naturally good, who looked like she was being herself, who looked comfortable with herself, who dressed in a way where this is my personality, and she was a bright shining star. Um, but the other lady that came up to me, she was dull. But I saw that she had a cool character, a cool personality, and I don't feel like she came up to my table to try to steal some of my shine. I feel like she came up because she was uncomfortable. It was getting crowded, and she wanted a flat surface, and I was the only one standing at my table. So there was an opening, which is, a lot of women will come up to me because I'm getting more attention than they are. Usually it's white women. A lot of times when white women see me getting attention and I'm the only black woman there, a lot of times they will try to encroach and try to throw shade. She wasn't trying to throw shade. She was trying to find somewhere comfortable where she could stand and also eat. And that's what I was doing at the time. Why? Because the Puerto Rican dude, after we talked and hit it off, and mind you, he saw what I was drinking and he immediately was like, French 75. I was like, yeah. So I was like, okay. And I didn't pick up that he might have also been industry too, but I was like, this is a real dude. I was like, this is the type of man, unfortunately, that I'm used to. A guy who's like, who's real, who's observant, who is not dressed like he's, oh, the richest guy, but who's just actually smart. And number two, this guy, I didn't notice him walk in. We noticed the other guys walk in because they came in, they were handsome, they were tall, they were dark, they looked gay, but everyone noticed them come in. The guy who came up to me, I didn't notice him come in. I didn't notice him until he slapped his card in front of me. So what I noticed is that he came in the room and saw me, and he immediately walked up to me the moment he saw me. What happened with the other guys is the guys walked in, they kind of looked around, then they kind of went to the bar. The black guy kind of came to the back. And what I noticed is those guys were still walking around. The black guy, he was walking around the whole room. He didn't go up to a woman, talk to her. He was kind of walking around. A lot of the guys were kind of walking around. The guy who tried to talk to me at the bar and didn't want to get me a drink, he was walking around. None of the men had chose a woman and stuck with her. They were all seeing what was there, seeing what else they could get, talking to this one, then talking to that one, then going here, going there. None of them went up to a woman, decided that she looked good, decided he wanted to talk to her, and kept talking to her for more than 2 minutes. This guy, I didn't even notice him come in, probably because of how he looked. No other guy was dressed in a casual way. They were all dressed up fashionably. This guy was not trying to, his fashion was that, he was only dude with a hat on, with a cap on. And I was like, fuck. Of course, he came up to me. But that's the type of man I'm used to. And the fact that he noticed my drink and he knew immediately what I was drinking, not only did he know what I was drinking, first guess, he offered to get me another one. And then he asked, oh, is well okay, or do you this? And I really didn't care. And I should have, but I didn't, because I guess, it was more so the fact that that he knew what I was drinking and offered to get me another one, and the fact that I knew he didn't care either. I could have been like, yeah, give me this, give me that, whatever. Um, and then this is the other thing that he did when we were first talking. We all got a rose. It was a rose ceremony. So when you go in, you got a rose, and you could give your rose to someone you were interested in at the end of the night or whatever, or throughout the event. I was the only one walking around with a rose. No, none of the other women had the rose on them. And none of the men had the rose on them. So no one was really participating in the rose ceremony. When he came up to me, and then when old girl left and he came next to me and we started talking and this, that, while I was talking, he took my rose out of my bag. Like, I had it tucked in my bag. So, because it had a long stem. He took my rose out the bag and put it on the table. So, and it was kind of like, oh, I don't want your rose to get hurt, but it was also like, yeah, you're not going to need this anymore. He claimed me, like he wasn't playing around. Like he saw me, and he was talking, and he was interested. He liked what he saw, and he was the only one who played the game, who took out his card. He was the only one who kind of took the rose out and put it on the table, like, I don't want anyone to see you, like, like with and then he offered to get me a drink within the first 5 minutes. He offered to get me another drink before I was even finished with mine. And then when he gave it to me, he's like, oh, sip it slowly. So now I'm assuming he got me the top shelf. He was the only man there who acted like a man. He was the only man who acted like he had some testosterone. He was the only man who came, he saw, he conquered, not in an aggressive way. He was aware of his surroundings. He wasn't a caveman about it. He was the only man who saw what he liked, put his card in front of my face, didn't waste time, didn't go talk to this woman, that woman, didn't ladder his way over. He just jumped right in, was not concerned about the other women, but he was polite. Like when he came back from the bar, which I assumed would take a while because the bartenders, I don't want to say they suck. They just they were only two of them for like, 100 people or whatever, So it is what it is. But and it was probably not even that many people there at that time. It was probably like maybe 60, something. But I knew the bar would be slow. And I'm just eating the past apps talking to this other chick who's divorced and, just is not exuding much personality. She's clearly there hoping that someone does all the work for her. And when he came back, he was nice to her. He spoke with her and everything. He was nice to everyone, but he wasn't overly flirtatious. He was just, I could tell he was showing that, hey, I'm a gentleman. If you have friends, I'm going to treat them the way I treat you. That's what I picked up. He wasn't being overly flirtatious and being like these other guys, like, okay, well, let me talk to her too. Let me talk to her too. Let me talk to her too. And so now I'm talking to the Puerto Rican guy, and who comes back around like a shark trying to sniff out that black dude who didn't think to buy me a drink, who wanted to have a conversation when I told him I'm parched and he didn't buy me a drink. Now he tries to come around with the same other white dude he's talking to. He's still talking to another dude. And now he coming around to the whole other side of the room when the Puerto Rican guy just is claiming me. Now he wants to come around, and mind you, the moment Buddy went to the bar, some other dude from Ukraine came right up to talk to me. He was divorced. Every single dude there, except for the two tall, dark and except for the two tall guys who looked like models that walked in later. Every dude that was there came up and spoke to me. Every dude that was there that I saw came up and spoke to me. And the other dude, the dude from Ukraine, the moment dude went to buy a drink for me, he came up and started speaking to me. Then, then old girl comes around. So it's like, I, lady, when you're a witch and you're around these basic ass human women, there is no competition. And that's not a room, ladies, you don't really want to be in a room like that. You want to be in a room where there's real options, and a room where like attracts like. So there was no men there, and the ones that were there, they were trash. None of them convinced me that they were not homosexual, except for the one who spoke to me, except for the one who came up to me. His behavior was the only behavior that had no homosexuality in it whatsoever. He saw me, he bought me a drink, he wasn't worried about the other competition. He was polite, but he was focused on me. He walked around a little bit, he talked around a little bit, came right back to my table and was like, "Hey, you want to get out of here? It's kind of loud. I can't hear. You want to go somewhere quiet where we can talk." 5 minutes, he walked around, laughed with some people, da da da, came right back to the table and was like, "Hey, you ready to go? I can't hear. You wanna dip?" I was like, let's blow this joint because I was ready to go. Because I was the life of the party. I didn't want people buzzing around me that day. I represented most eligible. They did their little speech. I promoted it. I let people know I was a contestant. But I was ready to go because the women there were whack as fuck and they were starting to tread on me. But one sister, one black chick came up to me too. She said I was looking great. She liked my energy. I exchanged information with her. I made sure I got her Instagram, and then she's like, "Yeah, this that," and then she went on her way. She didn't stay and linger. She was like, she just wanted to shout it out. She wanted to just say, "Hey, you killing it tonight, this and that." So I made sure I stayed in contact with her. But I regret not getting the information of the Aquarius lady, because she's like, I honestly, I felt like she was the one who I should have stayed in touch with, because I can live my single life with her. I could travel with her as a single chick. We had the same energy, and I hope and pray I see her again and can get her information, because that is the type of friend that I need while I'm enjoying being single. A confident woman who's there, who don't need for nothing, is there, spent her money, but is not, she was not impressed with how the men were. And I was like, man, and I was like, I hope I want her to be one of the bachelorettes next year too. Um, she's the type of friend that I'm longing for. Um, but ladies, the Oyá Oracle, when it comes to dating and just the how the whole event went, what I notice is this, and this is what I want to, this is some the final guidance. Um, ladies, if you are married, do not divorce your husband, because you're gonna be over 40, over 35. You're not gonna have any of the skills needed to navigate dating at this time. A lot of you are mothers. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna divorce your husband and you're gonna go out into the dating realm and find men who are worse than him, with more baggage than him, who are going to come to all the women who look 20 years younger. A lot of these dudes, the dude who I was talking to thinks I'm 23, by the way. He thinks I'm 23. I haven't corrected him. All right? Sue me. I'm tired of correcting people and them having heart attacks when I tell them my real age. So, I'm like, I might actually want to date him before I give him a heart attack. But yeah, so I want you ladies to know, a lot of you all don't look 20 years younger than your actual age. You don't look 10 years younger than your actual age. A lot of you do though. But a lot of you mothers who are divorcing your husband after 10 more than 10 years, you've started this life and now you're getting a divorce for whatever reason. I don't care if he cheated on you, don't divorce him. Because a lot of you women, you're going to go to these events, you're going to go out into the dating, and you're going to meet men who are simply worse than your husband, who are bringing the same baggage, who are also divorced. And you're going to meet men who are looking for younger women, who are looking for good time women. They're not looking for something serious. You're going to meet men who are also divorced. Like you're going to meet your husband. And when you divorce your husband, your husband, your ex-husband, these are the guys that models, single, sexy, child-free models like me who can walk in heels with no problem. That's who we're meeting. We're meeting men who are ready for a good time, some good sex, ready to spend some money on someone of their choice, and that's going to be a woman who looks younger. I don't care how many times a guy's jaw drops when I tell him my real age. He came up to me because of how I looked. That's why he came and even talked to me long enough to even ask what my age was. And a lot of times he's asking my age either because now he's getting a better look, or because when I'm talking to him, he was like, there's no way she could be 23. She's way too smart. That's what happens with me. So then a guy, when he realizes I'm not as dumb as a Barbie doll that I look like, then he asks my age. Ladies, these men are coming up to me because I look like I'm in my 20s. That's why they're coming up to me. And the only reason they're asking my age to figure it out is because of how I sound. And when I tell a guy I'm a sommelier, he's like, "Oh, you're too young for that. How old can you be? You're certified wine snob, like." So I there's things that when you are a mature woman, there's just experiences that you have that are just going to give away your age or your experience. But it doesn't have to be how you look. So a lot of you women, don't divorce your husbands, because you have not kept up with yourself enough to get the validation you're looking for. You're going to go out into the dating, and it's going to be other divorced men who are looking for younger women. Like which is probably why you think you're divorcing your husband and this and that. Ladies, if you are not ready to meet like other younger women who probably can do more to make your life exciting than you trying to meet some guy after you divorced your husband who you raised kids with and all that bullshit, like, it, don't divorce your husbands. A lot of you all are not being abused in the home, and a lot of you all contributed to whatever cheating he did. If your husband divorces you and leaves you, there's not much you can do about it. But I would even still say, if you got a husband trying to leave you for some younger chick or some more exciting chick, don't let him. Make him stay married to you. Make the cheating, make it hard for him. Don't divorce your husbands, ladies. You're not gonna, married women, y'all aren't gonna find better. You got married, you got popped, you did all this, you did all that, and I'm gonna let you know right now, you're gonna go out and find a bunch of other married men who are now looking for their second or third wife because they're divorced. Their woman left them because they're not good men, and now they're hurrying up to look for something before they get too old, or they're just looking for a good time. You're not gonna find some good guy who wants to uh help you raise your kids and marry you again. You're not gonna find a dude like this unless you know, a lot of dudes like that, they like these women with sexy young daughters. These women who got daughters who look good and who look cute and who got these daughters that are attractive. Those are the women who end up getting these guys to marry them when they baby mamas. So if you don't got some daughter that is a cute daughter that the guy's like, yeah, she's got this really cute daughter that, I'm not calling them pedophiles. They're men. So ladies, don't divorce your husband and don't let your husband divorce you. Cheat. Have an open marriage. Go, because what you gonna do in this dating, you gonna go out, you gonna feel like you just swinging anyway, because all these men are divorced, and all the ones that aren't, they are bisexual men trying to stay in the closet by going out and dating, and they don't even know how to treat a woman. They're acting like players, but what they really are is they're not attracted to women. These guys talk to a woman, hit it off with a woman, get afraid of his attraction to her because he likes men, talking to the guys, laughing it up with the guys, get nervous when a woman's talking to you like the black dude did. That's homosexual. Then didn't even want to buy me a drink. He want to act like he the prize. Nothing about him shows I'm here to find a woman, protect and provide for her. That's my role. And that's what you're looking for in dating. I don't give a damn what he says, and I damn near don't give a damn about how he's dressed or what little habits he has. If can he come, see, conquer? Does he offer to buy you a drink? If a guy is talking to you and he hasn't bought you something in the first 5 minutes, if he hasn't given you something that you need, like a drink or some food or whatever, just don't give him no more than 5 minutes. Be polite and move on if you're at one of these dating events, because the whole purpose in it is to get guys to buy women drinks. Remember that. So you might have to go and buy yourself a drink until the men arrive or until someone talks to you, or you may just have to buy yourself a drink just to break ice with the other women there, because sometimes the most valuable thing you may do is meet another woman, become friends with her, and then hook up with her brother or hook up with her friends and stuff. A lot of these dating events, especially in a city like Chicago, these men are trash in Chicago. And what I saw was the women there were attractive. I'll say this. The women there were good looking. None of the women there were unattractive. They were just not interesting. And the women there, they didn't know how to be sexy. They were all sitting down talking to each other, hoping that a guy came up to them. They didn't know, none of the women there knew how to stand on their own. Literally, none of the women were standing up so a man could see what their body was like. None of the women were walking around so she could attract a man to even look at her by the way she was moving her body. All the women were sitting down like they were at some fucking office, talking to each other, looking around, literally sitting, talking to each other, but looking around, waiting for the men to talk to them. I enter the room and all the guys are talking to me. Ladies, you guys got to be yourself and you got to stand out, and ladies, you got to understand something. It is a competition. It's a competition. If you ladies go expecting because you put on a dress and some lipstick that a guy's gonna talk to you, y'all got some dry personalities. And the other thing, ladies, stop going places with your female friends. If you are dating, she's competition. You're going places with your female friends so you can have someone to talk to because you're expecting that none of the guys talk to you because no guys ever talk to you. No guys ever approach you. So you go with your female friend to get the confidence just to even go. And now you guys are talking to each other and none of the guys are talking to you. And if a guy does come talk to you, it's after he spoke to the other 50 women in the room and he's just trying to make sure there ain't nothing there for him before he leaves and goes has sex with whatever woman he pays to have sex with or whatever dipset he got that he don't want to commit to. Probably because she's got a sexual hold on him and it freaks him out. So he's still acting single because sexuality scares a man. And that's y'all problem. Y'all go out with no sexuality with your female friend as your crutch. And these men are not interested. They're not interested in buying you a drink. They're not interested in buying your friend a drink. They're not interested in talking to y'all. They don't even want to walk up to y'all. And it's not, it's because you ladies are not sexy. You have no grasp on sex appeal. And you expecting the men to do this work, and you guys are coming with, and they're not signaling you're single and ready to mingle. You're signaling to the men, I expect you to do this for me. That's what you're signaling. You're signaling, I am too good to stand up and put myself on display. I'm too good to even stand up and walk around and show that I'm on display. I'm too good to wear bright red or something that symbolizes that I can even get horny, let alone am interested in sex or romance. You guys have this I'm too good character. You guys have this I'm waiting for a guy to choose me character. And you're not showing a man that you are happy with your lives. You're not showing a man, hey, I'm a happy woman. What's going on? Where we at? I'm having fun. You're coming in waiting for a man to do something for you. And they can sniff that out and they're not interested. They can go to a strip club. So what they do is they go to these events, they try to see if they can meet a woman who looks better than the ugly strippers at the strip club. And they see these women who look good but whose personality is dry, so they're like, I'll just go deal with ugly women who prostitute themselves and get on the pole because at least they have some character. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go and act like I'm interested in these women who are not sexually arousing me to even. Because when you're sexually arousing, man, he'll come. He'll buy you a drink. He'll talk to you. He'll laugh at your jokes. He'll smile in your face. He'll say some stupid shit. But at the end of the day, he's talking to you because he's aroused. A lot of you women, um, don't divorce your husbands because you're not built for the single life. You were never built for it. That's why you ended up married in your 20s or your early 30s. That's why a lot of you ended up married to begin with because you were not built for using your sexuality to get resources out of this life. God gave you what you needed. Your parents gave you what you needed. You came from a community where your husband was gift wrapped for you and you don't even look good or have no personality to get a husband. And you're not built for competing with women who wield our sexuality like the weapon that it is. You're not ready for this. You can't walk in high heels. You don't know how to do your makeup. You think you're too good to wear makeup, some of you. You think you're too good to wear a sexy dress. You don't want to show your body. You're not in tune with your body enough to wear a dress that is sexy without making it look ridiculous or slutty because you don't have the grace, you don't have the class, and you damn sure don't have the confidence to go somewhere by yourself and show that you're actually single. You go in there talking to your girlfriends and you end up ridiculing the men because the men aren't interested in you. And they're not interested in you because you not interested in you. You all are not even, you ladies are not able to compete with attractive women, with sexy women. So I would suggest, ladies, don't divorce your husband. Y'all have an open relationship. To the actually single women, go out expecting to buy your own drink. Go out and please wear a shade of red. Wear something bright, wear something attractive, wear something that says, I'm a good time. Wear something that says, I am here to attract a man to me. Wear something that says, I'm single, but I know how to keep a man. Something that says something about who you are and what a relationship with you would be like. All right? That's and ladies, go by yourself. Stop going with your friends as a crutch. You want to bring people there because you are afraid of safety. Cool, but a lot of you women, you dress like your number one concern is being safe. You're not dressing like you live on the wild side. You're not dressing like you can handle a little danger. You're not dressing in a way that shows I use my sexuality to protect me. I'm a fearless. You're dressing like how you feel, which is unsafe. You're dressing like how you feel, which is, I want a guy to make me safe. You're dressing like you're insecure. You're dressing like you're more worried about someone raping you or drugging you than you are about somebody finding you attractive. Y'all is be worried about the wrong thing. Now, yes, I'll be safe, but this is another thing with witches. Before you start your dating journey, get with Oya. Clean your house. Get rid of the items, like I said in the beginning of this upload. Get rid of as many items in your home that are not useful to you and that don't represent you. If an item represents something else or someone else in your life and is not representing who you are and who you are becoming, get rid of it. Old work clothes, items from old lovers that you don't want to have access to you anymore because they burnt that bridge or they did something that caused you to burn that bridge, that access to you. Items that you are no longer using, items that represent someone else and how someone else feels instead of how you feel. Like something that someone gave you that you don't like, you don't need, you don't use. You probably don't even like that person that much, but you're being a people pleaser and keeping something because someone gave it to you and it's a nice item. Donate it, give it away. Only items that mean something to you, so much so that it can be put on your altar as an offering and a sacrifice because it holds so much meaning to you. Those are the only items you need to keep with you. And of course, get rid of false idol items, items that are holding a spiritual energy that is something other than the Holy Spirit from Christ. If it's not holding an ancestral energy, and if it's an idol, if it's a carving of something in the heavens, the sky, the sea, on the earth, if it's an idol of something and it does not have good energy and you feel like it could become a puppet for an unclean spirit to enter into your life and enter into your temple space, get rid of it. This includes paintings, drawings, images, pictures. If it is an entry point for an unclean spirit to inhabit it like a puppet, get rid of it. Do these things and light your white candles in honor of Oya and in honor of the purification that she does, which is her ability to take curses away, to bring those curses to the people in the past who caused strife in your life, give them back theirs. Don't spend your time cursing someone. Ask Oya to give them back what belongs to them, which is the curse, the injustice that they did. You don't hold that grudge. Give them the karma that belongs to them and you move forward. Don't take that energy to curse someone. Take it to call on Oya for justice. Let her do her job. And whatever resources she brings to you, be grateful. Whatever she takes away from you, be grateful. And whatever um whatever she lifts off of your chest, whatever burdens or feelings or old thoughts, patterns, desires, addictions, past lovers, whatever she releases from you, um and that you no longer want or desire, you have been released of the bondage to this addiction, to this ex, to the whatever she releases from you, be grateful and go into the dating world lighter than ever before, free of ties to people who are not going to be your husband or wife, but I'm really talking to, the black witches who follow me. Um, let Oya do her cleansing with you. And remember, Oya is gonna bring you the proper Shango and the proper Ogun. She's not gonna bring you no. She's not gonna deal with these bitch made dudes. So while the guys may be tall, dark, and handsome, if they got any bitch in them, no, Oya's gonna bring you men with testosterone, who are qualified to compete with other men for a woman, who are qualified to pay the bride price for the African woman. Um, you know, God, keep praying to God, and He gonna show you just how much He don't care. The more you pray to God, the more silent He'll get, and the less prospects you'll get, and the more He'll be like, why are you praying for a husband when I want you to worship me? The more you pray to God, the more He gonna make sure no man comes around, and you just gonna keep trying to worship Him. Stop with God does not care. And if you think He does, quote me a scripture in the Bible that promises you a husband. Quote me a scripture in the Bible that promises the modern woman a husband and a covering and a man who is going to be good to you. Because I know I can tell you scriptures in the Bible that say 7 women will be grabbing hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own mantle. Just let us call us by your name to take away our reproach. God promises polygamy. God promises men will be trash, lovers of themselves. God promises that. But show me a scripture where God promises you a husband, let alone because you asked for one, let alone because you stayed a virgin. Y'all get your head out of your ass and stop letting these false prophet pastors and preachers who have never had to be single in their life a lot of times tell you about God, and start listening to the black women who have the gift of oracle. God don't care. Um, and no woman who has a husband had to pray to God to get it, to get that marriage. Ask them. Ask how many times they prayed to God before they got married. None of them had to pray to God. If you praying to God for a husband, that's because He not finna give you one. So stop praying to God and start using whatever beauty God gave you, or whatever skill, or whatever money or whatever you got, and go use that to get one of these good for nothing men out here if you want one so bad. God does not care. So do your cleansing, do this and that. And I do want to talk more about the dating experience, but ladies, especially black women, if you want a black man, I want a black man, but understand, in the dating realm, that's probably the more classy you get, unless you just go to Africa, which is, getting back to Africa, that's really the ultimate goal. And that's why I would even just skip to the advice about the reality that, ladies, as you date more and more classier realms, it might not be a lot of black men, and they might not be the ones who come at you. And the first way to determine if a black man is gay is if you're the only black woman in the room and he's not shooting his shot at you immediately, that's a huge sign he's a homosexual. So what I would say is, ladies, just understand, in general, I would not recommend dating in Chicago. So that is my number one thing to take away from that event I went to. All men in Chicago are trash. They are null and void. Um, and they all have baggage, and they're no good for a single woman who does not have that baggage. Ladies, if you are sexy, you got character, you got a skinny body, and you can model, you can fit in a nice dress, you a girly skinny model, don't waste your time dating in Chicago. If you want to go to a dating event in Chicago, go with the intention of meeting other women who you can be friends with and travel with. Please research places like Connecticut or Delaware, where there is a higher ratio of single men than single women, where you're not going to be a dime a dozen, where the 5 men can make their rounds through the 75 women there and then decide none of them are good enough. You're gonna get a lot of that in Chicago. Especially these places that are a little more upscale. These are gonna be the divorced men who have class. The rest of the men, they're at these cheap dive bars. They have no class, and they probably a baby daddy too. They're just a baby daddy instead of a ex-husband. Ladies, don't date in Chicago. Save dating in Chicago for the ugly women or for the older women who are going to pay to play because they got enough money to to deal with these half gay dudes because they just want a good looking guy. Save Chicago for women who are half lesbian and they just going to end up with these half faggot dudes out here who don't even really like women. Date date in places where the ratio of single eligible men is who are educated is way higher and outnumbers the women. That's where you want to date. Ladies, save your money, save your $50 $100 on these dating events in Chicago and spend it on a plane ticket in a hotel room. You can split it with one of the other sexy models in Chicago. She's not a sexy model. Don't bother being friends either. She not um Chicago, the women in Chicago are not beautiful and men in Chicago are not masculine. So I would say, ladies, if you want a good time, go date in the South where the men have testosterone and they still like women and they like feminine women and they have a standard for women. But if you want someone who has the potential to marry you and settle down, go to a northern state where the younger eligible men outnumber the women. And if you look 20, 10, or 5 years younger than you are, ladies, expect to get men who are up to 10 years younger than you being the eligible ones, being the ones who are not bringing the baggage of being divorced. Do not date in Chicago if you are a beautiful woman. Save your money and go somewhere like Delaware. Go go somewhere where you've done the research and the men outnumber the women. The single men with a college degree and a career that is making 5 to 6 figures or more if you want more. Go do your research. Go buy a ticket to a dating event in one of those states. Black women, you can go anywhere. If black women, if you look good enough, if you have a complexion that's exotic, if you don't look like a white girl in any way, and you look exotic, but you are sexy as a black woman, all right? You look exotic without looking negroid. Black women, you can go anywhere in this world. Black women, our exotic sex appeal is at an all-time high in the dating market right now. Um, so again, if you black women, if you want to have a good time and enjoy yourself, and if you are ready to let go of the idea of meeting a lot of black men, I would say definitely travel, be safe. But you can go anywhere because you're gonna be the rarest one, black women. And if you want to date in the hood and you want to date in other places, I say go to Africa. That's where you probably, as a black woman, that's where you're gonna find black men. But all over the rest of the world, black women, um, you're gonna be the rarest exception to what women are looking like. So don't if you want to go and date in predominantly black areas, now somewhere like Atlanta where there's a classier black population and the city's run by black people and you can find classy black people anywhere you go. That's different than places where there's a lot of segregation and the classier it gets, there's less black people. Black women, you're gonna get first pick of men, because these white women are not piquing the interest of white men anymore. um and a lot of it is because the past 20 to 25 years of being force-fed interracial dating, being force-fed Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, being force-fed all this interracial black men with white women propaganda. it has taken a toll on black women and white men. And white men almost are automatically turned off by white women because uh, they know most white women are there hoping for a black man. So a lot of these white men, they're not even interested in white women because white women have shown them for the last 30 years that they are looking for black men. White women have shown the world that what they want is a black basketball player so they can divorce him, get his money after they're done fucking him for shits and giggles. White men see white women as a liability. They see white women as a gold digger. They look at these white women and they assume the reason these women are single is because they chose to deal with black dudes instead of a white one. They're not interested in the white girls. They are there because they had one of these white girls. She probably cheated on him with a black dude. They White men look at white women as she wants a black guy. I don't want to deal with her thirst for a black man, but settling for me because I have money. I was raised right when she wants a black man. The white dudes, they will accept you as a black woman. They will accept your craving for a black man because you're a black woman. And they'll treat you a certain way. They may even try to impress you a little bit more, but they are done with the white women who are craving black men but are settling for white men because they couldn't they because they got jungle fever and now they're single because of their jungle fever. These white men are like they're done with white women. They're like, fine, we're just gonna date the all the black women who were left single because the black men decided to go for the white women instead of the women of their own race that were left single because Hollywood said black women aren't good enough. Treat her like a stripper and marry the white girl so she can divorce you and take all your money and bring it back to white society. Black men fell for it. White men are done with being demeaned uh and compared to black men, and they're going straight for the black woman. So black women, travel. You are going to be the most rarest one, and you're going to have your first pick of the men. You're going to have your first pick of the men, especially if, and I hate to say it, but in the modeling industry, if you look like a white girl dipped in chocolate, you can go anywhere. The more West African you look in your body shape and things like that, not necessarily your hair texture, in your body shape and certain features, you are going to attract African men and black men, and that's great. But a lot of us who look like white girls dipped in chocolate, we're not attracting black men the way women who look African are. Um, we have a universal beauty, and if you have that universal beauty, relinquish the idea of being with the black man, because a lot of times you're going to go into these places and it's not going to be that one black comes at you. It's going to be the other races of men who kind of know that the black guy is probably not going to go for the black woman. He's probably going to wait around for all the white girls to throw themselves at him and not put any effort. And unfortunately, that's why sisters, get higher class and deal with the men who were at least raised how to be men. Um, and ladies, try learn to show up and make an appearance on your own, and put a little pressure on yourself to attract a man. um don't use your friends as crutches, because it's just gonna it gets convoluted. A lot of it gets convoluted, and you want a guy who likes you. You bring your friend. So it's always a chance that he likes your friend. You both are single, that's great, but don't bring no friend for moral support and your friend married and then pulling all the single dudes too, and like, you know, ladies, show that you show that you have some sense of being able to stand on your own. um that's about it, to be honest. I think that's about it. Don't date, ladies. If you are attractive, don't date in Chicago. These men are trash. Go to the South if you want men that have a higher testosterone. Go to some remote states, do the research, find the state with the highest ratio of men to women, get a ticket and book. I would say book a gala. I would say, ladies, if you want to pay, if you want to invest in a dating event, go to a gala and meet some really rich people who are investing their money in some charity and some cause. Go to a gala. Go to a gala. Skip some of the dating events and start going to events where men are have money and are there because they have money, and because they have a stable background, a stable career, a stable community. Go pay to get into to the door where rich men are. They're not going to be at these dating events unless they're sponsoring it with their company. These men at these dating events, they are divorced, they are baby daddies. A lot of them are there trying to escape a responsibility that they have to a wife, an ex-wife, a baby mother. Some of them are trying to escape their own homosexuality. Um, that's why I say, ladies, don't divorce your husband. Have an open relationship until you get your shits and giggles done. Um, keep ladies, keep what you've killed. You got a husband, don't divorce him and don't let him divorce you. I know, ladies, I know the idea of alimony, of having a monthly stipend or whatever, instead of having a man around to cook and clean for. I know that sounds great for you ladies. Um, but you know, some of you ladies just do what your vow said. Fulfill those vows and keep your man. I know you want to be single. I know you ladies want to be single, but a lot of you all, you're looking for validation that you're not going to get. You're going to be reminded of how much easier it is going to be for your husband to go find a younger sexy woman than it is for you to go find a younger sexy guy who's going to do half of what your husband has done for you when you are not a supermodel. So, ladies, I want to spare you the embarrassment of finding out you ain't shit the hard way. Now, you want your alimony? You got it like that? If you have a husband who could give you alimony, really don't divorce him. But hey, if you want to get some man's money and live the rest of your life single, if you think that you're built for that in your old age, if you think you can be single and wrinkled and overweight and unattractive and unhealthy with low self-esteem in your 60s and 70s and 80s, and that's how you want to live your life, fine. But if you need validation, don't look to the dating realm for it. If you are bringing the baggage of a family and you have don't look for validation in the dating world, ladies. Don't divorce your husband. I'll talk more about this when I have more time. Listen, learn, like, subscribe, follow me on IG, and I will see you all hopefully in a week or less. Peace and love.